Welcome back to Vintage Family Recipes with me, Belle. If you watched the last show, you saw that we talked about how sugar would not be very plentiful during the Great Depression or even the 1940s when we were in World War II and everything was being rationed. And so I suggested that chocolate cake probably would not have been what my grandmother made. We decided that I should make a recipe that used less sugar from the 1930s. I found two different recipes from my grandmother that both were molasses cookies. I didn't like either one by themselves, so I decided to combine the two recipes to make one recipe. I'm going to start with boiling hot water, 1 cup. Now I'm going to take a cup of shortening and I'm going to put that in the boiling water. Just kind of let that soak up the water and melt a little bit. The next ingredient I am going to add is the molasses. I'm using 1.5 cups of molasses, which, lucky for me, I don't have to measure because here it is. Melt it all in, or mix it all in, drop it all in, whichever way I want to say it. Get it out of here. My water was really, really hot, so I was hoping that this would melt down a little faster, but I may actually have to pour it in a pan and bring it to a harder boil than what I had. We'll see. The original recipe that I got from my grandmother literally was a list of ingredients and nothing else. Not so crazy about this. Let's start with this and do some more searching. So I found another recipe of hers from pictures I took the last time I was home visiting that my aunt had that were also my grandmother's recipe. And I'm combining these two recipes. And I think I am going to bring this to a boil in a pan. One recipe said to do that, the other one said not to, but I don't like the way this is. Well, let's see. We'll try one other thing first. If I don't like the way it's going, then I will put it in a pan very quickly and melt more of the shortening with the hot water and the molasses. But this looks like it might work. Forgot how much I like the smell of molasses. Oops, good thing I'm wearing an apron because this could be messy. But in sticking true to form, I am not going to use my KitchenAid. I'm just going to use what my grandmother would have used. I've already measured my flour, my sugar, my baking soda, and my salt. This only uses 1/4 cup of sugar, which fits right into what it would have been like in the 30s and 40s. One recipe calls for absolutely no spice. The other recipe calls for some spices. I like spices. So I'm going to use cinnamon, cloves, ginger, which is what one of the recipes called for, and then I'm going to add nutmeg, because you really shouldn't have, in my opinion, cinnamon without nutmeg. They just fit so nicely together. And I'm using a teaspoon of each, because why not? And I've said before, these tend to be my standard spices when I bake. And I never perfectly measure them either. I just kind of scoop them out with a teaspoon. Sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. There we go. Oh, that smells good. Okay. So I'm just going to mix that in. All blend it together. And looking at this, I am going to make an executive decision, and I am going to boil this a little bit longer on the stove so that everything is melted, because I don't think the water was hot enough to really do the melting that I wanted it to do. So we're just going to do this. I'm going to time this to see how long it takes so that I can let you know about how long you can expect. I would assume it wouldn't take as long as if I started with cold water because it was boiling, as the recipe said. It took 4 minutes for the Crisco shortening, the molasses, and the water to come together. I am going to slowly pour the flour into the water, water, molasses, and shortening mixture. It's going to take a minute to do because I don't want to make a mess. Oh, it's turning a nice, pretty, rich brown. Very nice. Very, very nice. I might need to add more flour. I was trying not to make a massive amount of cookies today, but since it only used 1 egg, there's really not an easy way to cut down a recipe that only uses 1 egg. I don't know, I might not need any more flour. Look at that. It's coming together nicely. Very good. Oh, I should have made these gluten-free so I could try them. Oh, well. If you're gluten-free and you try this recipe, let me know if it's worthwhile. Okay. That looks good. Okay, here we go. I asked my mom, because I did some research about molasses cookies before I decided to combine these 2 recipes, and several of the recipes say that you should refrigerate the molasses cookies. And she said her mom in the 30s and 40s didn't have a refrigerator. So there's no way that she would have put her molasses cookies in the refrigerator to have it firm up. But I can definitely see why you would want to put this in the refrigerator before you made the cookies, if you wanted them to be nice round shaped. Newer recipes say to roll them in confectionery sugar. I'm not doing that because I wanted to go with that 1930s style. So I'm going to put this in the oven at 350 degrees for 8 to 10 minutes. Here we go.
Really good.
It's very chewy. I like it.
Yeah, it's very moist.
It sort of makes me think of Christmas.
Okay. Like gingerbread?
I guess.
Because molasses is in gingerbread.
That's what it is. That's what it tastes like. It tastes like gingerbread. Only a little less pronounced,
Right.
a little mellower. And the consistency is like a good Toll House cookie.
Okay. I decided that for the last little bit of cookies, I would go ahead and shake some powdered sugar on top just to compare what it was like in the 1930s to say what it was like in the 1950s and see what the difference in their taste is.
Oh, that's good.
With the powdered sugar better?
Yeah.
Okay.
It complements the base taste of the cookie very well.
Okay, awesome.
I guess it doesn't matter that you left the egg out.
I guess it doesn't matter that I left the egg out.
I think the egg probably would have firmed it up a little more, and it wouldn't have been quite so chewy, like loose chewy.
We hope you enjoyed this episode with the molasses cookies, both with and without powdered sugar. I will put the recipe in the description, as always. Please take the time to like, leave a comment, subscribe, and if you've made molasses cookies, let us know. And we'll see you next time on Vintage Family Recipes with Belle.